Good morning to you folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. We are preparing live coverage across all platforms as we start here on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, and YouTube Live. Authorities have found and arrested the man accused of killing a veteran in the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. This happening this morning, really overnight, with a massive forklift accident, or as we understand it to be an accident, at a construction zone here in the Tampa Bay area. Standing by is our own Annie Mapp, who's live at the scene. We will have coverage, but first, before we do so, we want to take you to this early morning press conference that we have from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. This is Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri, who will explain what happened. And on the back end of this morning press conference, again, you're about to see recorded video from this morning. On the back end of this press conference, this clip that we're about to play, we will have live coverage with Annie, myself, on WFLA Now. We'll be back in a few minutes.
All right, good morning. I'm Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri, and we're here this morning to talk about the death of a deputy overnight. What happened is about 10:30 last night, Deputy Michael Hartwick, who is 51 years old, been with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office for 19 years, was working a traffic detail on I-275 north of Gandy. There's a lot of construction going on 275, and he was assigned to assist the construction crews and provide for safety for them as they did overnight construction work on the interstate. Deputy Hartwick arrived around 10:30 last night at his assigned post. He had his emergency equipment on, was blocking the two inside southbound lanes of I-275. He got out of his cruiser after he parked there, and there were cones up and down clearly blocking the traffic lanes. He got out of his cruiser, was standing on the shoulder of the road, and from what we can determine through the investigation, he was facing to the north. So again, his cruiser was facing south. He was blocking the southbound lanes, and he was standing on the shoulder of the road facing northbound. One of the construction crews that was going to pick up the concrete barriers to block off more permanent lane markings on the interstate was traveling northbound, and it was a big, huge construction front loader with the big forklifts on it to move these 1,000-pound concrete barriers. As Deputy Hartwick was facing to the north, the loader, driven by a Hispanic male by the name of Victor Vasquez, struck Deputy Hartwick and killed him instantly, and he died at the scene. After hitting Deputy Hartwick, Vasquez continued north, probably for about a quarter of a mile, pulled the loader off into a parking area, got out, told another construction worker that he had just killed a deputy, and took off his helmet, took off his vest, and began running from the scene. The other worker took his vest and his helmet and hid it in a wooded area to the west of the location. Vasquez is still at large. We're seeking him now actively. Again, his name is Victor Vasquez. He's a Hispanic male, about 35 years old. We believe that he's still on foot somewhere in the area, and again, it's an active scene. We're actively looking for him. Deputy Hartwick's family's been notified, and again, it's an active investigation. I'm telling you what I know at this point. The charges against Vasquez are leaving the scene of an accident involving death, secondary felony. The other guy that helped him get rid of his vest and his helmet and his other equipment, he's been charged with being an accessory after the fact. He's in custody now. So that's what I know at this point. All I can say is here we go again. This is 18 months after Deputy Magley was killed. We go 110 years in the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office with no line of duty deaths, and now we have 2 in 18 months. But Deputy Hartwick was doing what cops do every day. He was out doing his job. He was on his assigned post. He was trying to protect the scene out there for the construction workers, and ironically, he got hit by one of the construction workers on this loader. Of course, what Vasquez should have done is stop, and he should have rendered aid, and he certainly should have acknowledged what he did, as opposed to fleeing and now being a fugitive. So happy to take any questions that you all have. And that's about what we know at this point.
Do you know of any prior arrests on Vasquez?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you, is that there's even some question as to who he is. We're still trying to flush that out now. We're going to put out a photograph of him. Our public information office will put a photograph out to you. I really ask you all, and hope you will, is to share that photograph as far and wide as you can. And anybody out there, last known address for Vasquez is in Tampa. Anybody out there that knows where he is right now, please call the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office or the Tampa Police Department if he's in Tampa. Let us know, because we really want to get him in custody. The best way that we can do that right now is with the public's help, with your help, and to share that photograph, because we got a lot of assets and resources. You can hear the helicopter up above as we're standing here now. We've got K-9 teams out with the help of the St. Pete Police Department, other law enforcement agencies. We're just saturating the area, but this guy needs to be in custody. Yeah, so Mike's been with us for 19 years. I know him. He was assigned to the patrol division. He was working out of our North District station on a night shift. He's a patrol deputy, a guy who for 19 years dedicated his life to protecting and serving the people of Pinellas County and doing what cops do every day. Mike was a good guy. He's a good cop, did his job. He's got some adult children, and of course they've been notified. He just went through a divorce. His most recent former wife is living out of the area. Does have some other family members, again, in the area, but they are adult children. And his mother's still alive. She's been notified. His father's deceased. And that's pretty much what I can tell you about Mike.
Was he one of those overnight off-duty details, the overtime details?
Correct. It's an off-duty. Yes, an overtime detail. Yeah.
How old?
51 years old.
Can you tell us about just the size of this search? It sounds like the hair on the ground is a lot of that.
Yeah, there's probably hundreds of cops out here trying to get this guy in custody. He killed a cop and he ran. And we need to get him in custody. He needs to be accountable for what he did. And it's just mind-boggling that he would do that. And he knew, because the guy that he shed his vest and his helmet when he told him what he did, he knew he killed a deputy, and he made a phone call to somebody else after he did it, saying that he had killed a deputy. So he knew very well what he did, and then decided that now he's not going to do the right thing. He didn't do the right thing to begin with how he was driving out there and what he was doing, and then he didn't stop and even try and render aid, and of course fled. And so, yeah, we got a lot of assets and resources. We'll have a lot of assets and resources, and we're not going to stop till we get this guy in custody.
Is there any belief that this guy could be a danger to the public?
I don't know that, because I really don't know enough about him. And again, we don't have a criminal history. I'm not even 100% positive that is his name. That's why we will need to get this photograph out there. He's got some identification that we're able to obtain, and it could be fake ID. So the answer to that question is it's possible, but I really don't know. I can't tell you.
How could the public assist in this investigation today to make the investigation a little easier?
Is that there's somebody out there that knows who this Victor Vasquez is, or whatever his name is, through this photograph, and something that there's somebody out there that knows him. He's got family, he's got a girlfriend, he's got relatives, he's got friends, he's got somebody. This guy in the area of Tampa that we know he was living in is the West Tampa area, the area around Columbus Avenue, in that area of Tampa. Somebody over there knows him, and what we really, really need the public to do is to step up and help us, and help us find this guy, tell us where he is so we can go get him in custody and he can be accountable for what he did. Yeah, so it's a big, huge front loader with a big forklifts on it that moves these 1,000-pound concrete barriers. So it was massive. And the way he was going, he was probably driving, I'm approximating it because we do have the incident on video from the dash cam in Deputy Hartwick's car, is he was probably doing on the shoulder of the road with that big vehicle, probably at least 20 miles an hour. And he was going at a pretty good clip. The big forklifts on this thing were straight out and they were up. And it looks like that, he just ran those into Deputy Hartwick. And, he suffered a lot of trauma. And that's what happens when you get hit by something like that.
And is the understanding for now just that this was an accident?
Yeah, there's no indication at this point it's an intentional act. The intentional act is fleeing and leaving the scene and not being accountable and doing the wrong thing. And of course that's very troubling, but there's no indication it was an intentional act. Yeah, it's going to be closed out there for a while, and for your purposes and for the public's purposes as well. I think right now it's somewhere around 6:30. I think is that at 7 o'clock there's going to be a procession. Deputy Hartwick is being loaded into an ambulance now as we speak out there at the scene, which of course is on 275, just to the north of where we are in the southbound lanes. So they're going to leave out there at 7 a.m. They're going to come south on 275, get off here at Roosevelt. They're going to come by here in front of us on Roosevelt to Almerton Road and down to the medical examiner's office. So anybody that wants to get out and pay respects to Deputy Hartwick, we'd like to see that and get the public support. So anybody that wants to do that, there'll be law enforcement officers lining the route, but they'll leave at 7 a.m. I would imagine they'll pass by here somewhere probably around 7:05, 7:10, but the route will be, again, Almerton and to the medical examiner's office. All right, well, I appreciate it, and again, appreciate your help, and hopefully you guys will help us get that photograph out, and the public will help us and get this guy in custody. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Yeah.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here is JB Puno.
An early morning manhunt involving hundreds of officers is over. Authorities have found and arrested the man accused of killing a veteran Pinellas County deputy with a massive forklift overnight at a construction zone in the Tampa Bay area. We have the latest from the scene as the manhunt comes to an end with the suspect's arrest. Hey there, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. You've been reading this story all morning long on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. There have been developments over the last hour or so, and for those developments, we bring in WFLA News Channel 8's Annie Mapp, who is live at the scene of where this all unfolded over the last 12 hours. We've been playing, of course, for our YouTube audience, we've been playing back Sheriff Bob Gualtieri's early morning press conference that we also streamed on Facebook Live. But Annie, as far as what happened in this incident at this construction zone in Pinellas County, what exactly do we know from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office at this time?
JB, this happened around 11 Thursday night. Now, Deputy Michael Hartwick, he was picking up a shift where he is working to keep this construction zone safe on I-275 just near Roosevelt Boulevard. He stepped out of his vehicle, JB, and while he's out, he's trying to, the sheriff said, fix some cones or something on the roadway. And while he was outside of his car, that's when the construction worker on this loader hit him, struck him, and kept going. And the sheriff tells us, unfortunately, Deputy Hartwick, was killed instantly. And then we learn the construction worker accused in this took off, ran into the woods, and JB, several hours of searching for him just came to an end right before 9 this morning.
Yeah, and if you heard Sheriff Bob Gualtieri's press conference, folks, you heard that this is those front loaders, those forklifts that are used to pick up those massive 1,000-pound concrete barriers. So this is a massive piece of construction equipment that resulted in the death of Deputy Hartwick. And of course, we're passing along our condolences to the Hartwick family, the entire Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and the community. Annie, we will come back to Deputy Hartwick here in just a moment, but let's bring up a picture here of what, as we understand it, 35-year-old Victor Vasquez, who is involved in this incident, according to deputies, and then takes that forklift, that front loader, goes down the roadway, continues, doesn't stay at the scene, but leaves the scene, is said to give his vest and his construction helmet away, and then he disappears. What happened in the aftermath of his disappearance this morning?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking because Sheriff Bob Gualtieri says he didn't even stop to render aid or to see if Deputy Hartwick was okay. Again, he gives his vest and his helmet to one of his co-workers and then takes off into the woods. Several hours go by, JB, before law enforcement is able to find him. Now, the tricky thing about this is we're told that the co-worker who he told that he ran over the deputy and killed him hid his helmet and his vest into the woods. So now he's also been charged and he's arrested as accessory after the fact.
And also, too, Bob Gualtieri this morning, again, that's the Pinellas County Sheriff for those of you joining us from outside the viewing area, said a couple of times during his morning press conference, Annie, saying, if that is exactly who he is, referencing that there might be more to Victor Vasquez. Has there been any developments over the last couple of hours as to determining if Victor Vasquez is who he says he is and whether or not he actually has any form of a criminal history?
JB, right now, who the person arrested today is still very unclear. He goes by Victor Vasquez, believed to be around 35 years old, living in Tampa, but the sheriff isn't sure if that's exactly what his name is. They, ran a background search, didn't find any sort of criminal record under that name, but the sheriff is still, working to investigate exactly who that person is. As of right now, we're still waiting to see a mugshot, from this person that was arrested. But we do know that he's been living in West Tampa around Columbus Avenue. So it's still a question that we're still working to get answers on.
Now, the most heartbreaking part of the story for me, Annie, is that Deputy Hartwick, again, Deputy Michael Hartwick, and we have some details about Deputy Hartwick on WFLA.com, the WFLA app as well. You can click on the link in the description of this video. It'll take you over there and you can read more about Deputy Hartwick. But we're going to go over Deputy Hartwick a little bit here because, and we'll put him up on your screen, because the most heartbreaking thing about this story to me is that he was on detail, he was on assignment to keep those construction workers safe. That was his number one priority as far as just making sure, as we see with construction zones all the time, the Tampa Bay area or elsewhere, how those construction zones can be near, of course, traffic, and it's about keeping everybody safe, both drivers and folks in the construction zone. He was there to keep them safe, and here now we have this terrible incident that occurs with him being killed in this, with a massive piece of construction equipment. What do we know about Deputy Hartwick and the deputy that he was and the man that he was as far as his life here in the Tampa Bay area?
JB, again, just very heartbreaking. And if you listen to that press conference with the sheriff, he says, it's ironic. He was there to, protect those construction workers from other drivers traveling through that work zone. And then, to have something like this to happen to him. He's been working for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office for 19 years, 51 years old. He has adult children. He's recently divorced and was going, through some hard times. But everyone at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office has just sort of been gathering around, just sort of shows the love and respect that they really have for him.
And before we let you go, Annie, want to follow up with you as far as what you are going to be working on now as we get ready for our 11 a.m. newscast. For those of you in the Tampa Bay area, you'll see Annie coming up here on our midday newscast in just about 10 minutes from now on your NBC station, WFLA News Channel 8. Annie, what are we going to be following up on now in the hours ahead? What questions do we still need to get answered from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office as they mourn the loss of one of their own here in the Tampa Bay area?
JB, of course, the biggest thing right now is that, this construction worker has been captured. We didn't have that information at our last newscast. That's something new. And then the other thing is that question you had about who Victor Vasquez is, or who the construction worker that was arrested actually is. We're hoping to learn more details on his identity and his background, and why exactly he chose to take off into the woods instead of stopping and seeing if the deputy was okay. So hopefully we'll have those answers for you today.
Annie Mapp, folks, you'll see her, of course, coming up on WFLA News Channel 8. You can follow her on her social media accounts at Annie Mapp for the very latest there from Pinellas County. Annie, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you in a little bit on WFLA. All right, folks, back here with you live on WFLA now. Let's go over a couple of other points that I want to mention. Now, you might be asking where and when and exactly how Victor Vasquez, 35 years old, was apprehended. Now, there have been some videos that have been circulating around, some videos that have made their way into our newsroom, videos that we are, of course, putting through the approval process. We vet our content before we publish it, of course, as any news station would. But those videos, for what it's worth, do show a arrest occurring in a wooded area of Pinellas County, similar to where, of course, Victor Vasquez was last seen by the worker that he handed off his construction helmet and vest to before disappearing after this incident occurred on Thursday night. So we are anticipating getting some updates from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. We're updating our website and our app frequently with the latest details that we get in. And if that video, of course, does get approved, we will share it, of course, here on social media. We will share it on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to open up the Facebook Live comment section, the YouTube comment section as well, and talk with our commenters. And if you have a question about this story, if there's anything that you're still a little fuzzy about, you just don't understand exactly how this happened or the sequence of events that got up to this point with the arrest, you can use hashtag HJB. It's underneath my name here on the left side of your screen. And if you use that hashtag, I can animate your comment on screen, and we can address our fellow commenters, saying hello to Anna, to Baggins, to Netta, to Nature, to Zigzag on YouTube, and saying hello in our Facebook Live comment section as well to Robert, Sherry, Rachel, Kim Ann, Robert, Debbie, Peter. This is a heartbreaking story. We have a veteran deputy of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office who was there for an overnight assignment just to work this construction zone, make sure drivers are doing what drivers are supposed to do, make sure that the construction zone is a safe area for the construction workers to do their job. And this front loader, this massive front loader with that is in a forklift style, as Sheriff Gualtieri put it, that is designed to pick up those concrete barriers, the barriers that are designed to keep drivers from going into the construction zone, those barriers that look massive. There's no way for people, obviously, to lift them up. I mean, we're talking about 1,000 pounds each plus. So they use this massive forklift to lift them up and move them in and out of position on the roadway. This is the construction equipment that Deputy Hartwick was killed with. And as the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office tells us, the driver of that forklift was 35-year-old Victor Vasquez. Now, the big question to me, as I wait for some of your hashtag HJB comments to come in, the big question for me is, why do you flee the scene? If this is an accident, and Sheriff Gualtieri says by all signs and indications right now, this appears to have been just a terrible accident. There's no proof or evidence that they have at this time that this was a deliberate action. If it was an accident, then why flee the scene? Now, there have been some questions as to who 35-year-old Victor Vasquez is and whether or not his past is indicative of any reason as to why he wouldn't remain at the scene. Look, we have seen with other news stories where people will go into a pure state of panic when something terrible occurs, and they will act without any sense of rationality. So whether Victor Vasquez panicked and decided to flee because he didn't know what to do, or whether there was an actual reason, a deliberate reason, a specific reason as to why he did not want to be apprehended by authorities, we will hopefully get answers to these questions in the next several hours as we continue to follow up with questions here from WFLA News Channel 8. All right, going back to our Facebook comment section, looking for comments on Facebook. Again, it's got to have hashtag HAB. I'm not seeing too many. Dave, I see your comment. I have to check that stat. I don't have that stat on hand, but I will look to check that stat if I can. And I'll say hello to our YouTube audience. So I want to get to Julie's comment, and then Solecita, I will get to your comment next. Julie says, hashtag HAB, let's face it, if you hurt or kill a policeman, you will go to prison for a very long time. I can see how this man panicked when he realized what he did. But there's a massive difference optics-wise for a judge or a jury when they are looking at a suspect who, look, if Victor Vasquez had hopped out of the driver's seat of this forklift and immediately attempted to render aid and try to save this deputy's life, and then contacted 911, called people to the scene, did everything that he could to save the life, then it's viewed as an accident with a worker who is showing signs of remorse and trying to do the right thing in that moment to save his life, versus somebody who hits the deputy and decides to flee with really without any regard for that deputy's life. Now, the moments after this happened, we don't know what Mr. Vasquez allegedly did. Did he hop out? Did he check? How much time did he spend exactly around the deputy? Did he flee immediately? These are questions that are going to come up. Now, as we understand it, there is dash cam video that shows the entire incident on camera. I'm sure it's extraordinarily difficult to see. That video has not been released to the public, likely will not be released to the public due to probably how traumatizing it would be to the deputy's family. However, his actions in the immediate aftermath of this, what is being referred to as a supposed accident, the actions immediately thereafter are going to be extraordinarily important when it comes to how this proceeds now legally. With the charges, again, one of the charges is fleeing the scene. So if he had stopped and rendered aid and did everything that he could to try to save the deputy's life, despite the fact, as we understand it, that it was instantaneous, that Deputy Hartwick was killed on contact, if he had done everything that he could to remain at the scene and cooperate, the lens in which this would have been viewed would have been drastically different. Solecita, hashtag HAB, was it an accident or not? He might have freaked out. Listen, Bob Gualtieri says, that's the sheriff in Pinellas County, says that there is no indication at this time, there's no evidence, if you will, at this time that suggests that this was a deliberate action, that this appears to be right now just a terrible occurrence at this construction zone in Pinellas County. Whether or not that is, look, an investigation, a thorough investigation is going to be conducted and determine exactly what transpired here between Victor Vasquez and the deputy who lost his life. And I want to bring up some video if I can, everybody, because I'd like to play this on our screen if I can. And yes, I will be able to. I'm looking here to load up some new video because there was a memorial trip this morning. Let's bring this up on your screen. This was a memorial, and let's put away the comment from Solecita, and we'll come back to that. But I want to show you this. This is Deputy Hartwick's body being transported from the scene, as we understand it, and the memorial route that was taken by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. And what you will see as we let this video play out, you will see the sworn law enforcement officers, members of the law enforcement community in the Pinellas County, in the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office and beyond, saluting Deputy Michael Hartwick. Deputy Michael Hartwick, a 51-year-old father worked with the sheriff's office for 19 years, assigned to the patrol division, and he was working the night shift for the North District Station. He is survived by his mother and adult children. So we'll let this play on your screen as we continue to remember the life of Deputy Michael Hartwick and also try to provide some clarity with this story and answer as many questions as we can. This is an excellent question by Nature Lover. A superb question. Nature Lover says, #AJB, do we know if he was operating the forklift without a spotter? And this is very common in construction zones to have somebody to monitor the back and forth movements of it. Because look, it's a massive piece of construction equipment, and it can go at speeds of upwards of 20, 25 miles per hour. They have an extraordinary amount of force and power, and having a spotter can just somebody to keep an eye on the movements of it. But at the same time, I have seen, and this is just not from any news story that I've covered, but just in general, when I see construction zones, it's very common to not see somebody who is dedicated to being a full-time spotter for a piece of construction equipment, such as a front loader or forklift, excuse me. Amber is asking about a photo of the construction equipment. I don't have a photo of it offhand. I don't, but Nature Lover's question is great, and this is something we might be able to ask and follow up with. I'll go back over to Facebook Live and see some of the comments. Terry-Anna Dawn Rowe with this comment from Facebook Live. We can get it to animate on screen. And hopefully we can. Stand by. Facebook's being a little bit buggy. There it is. Terry-Anna Dawn Rowe, #AJB. Why were police on the scene in the first place? Look, it's common for there to be night details, nighttime assignments for construction zones in areas that see a good amount of traffic. And of course, again, let me get you the exact location of where this occurred. This is in the area of I-275 and Roosevelt Boulevard in Pinellas County. So look, we're dealing with an interstate and Roosevelt Boulevard that sees a good amount of traffic as well. We're talking about an area that does see a lot of traffic, and not just during the day, at night as well. So it's common for there to be law enforcement details at those construction locations to make sure that everybody is safe and that drivers are driving their vehicles the way that they should. We have had way too many deaths in this country related to drivers not paying enough attention on the roadway, or perhaps being under the influence and driving too close to a construction zone or into a construction zone in some cases, and causing the death of either construction personnel or law enforcement. It's terrible, and it has occurred. So that those details are there for a lot of different reasons, to ensure that there is that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and staying safe and remaining safe. As Debbie is commenting back at Terry-Anna here, yeah, standard practice. It is. It's standard practice. Rachel, I'll bring up Rachel's comment. Oh, no, actually, I just pinned it. No, we need to animate it. So let's animate Rachel's comment if we can. Rachel, what roadway did this happen on, please? Yeah, again, this is I-275 and Roosevelt Boulevard in Pinellas County last night around 11 o'clock. Amber, I appreciate it. I'm saying hi to Amber in our YouTube section. I can't just show anything on stream. I appreciate it though. Thank you for offering to send me a picture. It's on the news. We only can show you really what we have the rights to show you. So I would have to verify with our team that I could show that picture. But thank you for the offer. It's very kind. Our YouTube and our Facebook commenters are extraordinarily kind, and I appreciate it most of the time. Sometimes our commenters can, get out of line. But most of the time, very kind and very respectful, and I appreciate that. as we all pay respects here to Deputy Michael Hartwick, a longtime veteran of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office who died in the line of duty by, again, construction workers he was there to protect. As Gualtieri called it, that bit of irony that he was there to protect the construction workers, and it was a construction worker behind the wheel of the forklift that is allegedly responsible for claiming his life in what has been described as a non-deliberate act. It is believed to be an accident. Of course, there will be a very thorough investigation conducted. You know, I want to talk, we haven't really talked about this, but this is really important too. Very, very important. We haven't really talked about this. Annie mentioned this, but I want to come back to this for a second. Sheriff Gualtieri said that the other worker, so let's go over the events here one more time, because we're talking about the other worker. There's a second worker involved here. Victor Vasquez allegedly is involved in this terrible incident where he's behind the wheel of a forklift and he strikes and kills Deputy Michael Hartwick. As we understand it, he then flees in that forklift, going pretty fast and over a pretty long distance too. I believe that he went, was it a quarter of a mile? Checking my details here. It was a long way. It was at least a quarter of a mile. And then stops, gets out of the forklift, and goes to another worker. Tells the worker what happened. Explains to the worker that the deputy is dead. And then gives his vest and his construction helmet, as we understand it, to that second worker. And then Victor Vasquez here vanishes, leaves, just disappears, launching that manhunt that is now over. But the second construction worker is accused of hiding that vest in a wooded area, as we understand it. So he has been charged as well as an accessory. Accessory after the fact, that, as I understand it, is the charge. And Vasquez himself is charged with leaving the scene of an accident involving a death, which is a second-degree felony. Now, what's interesting about Vasquez's charge as well, if he had stayed, if he had remained at the scene, done the right thing, and tried to do everything he could to save this deputy's life, what would the charge have been then? Would he even be facing charges if it's purely an accident? Yes, the charge could be something related to negligence, construction negligence. However, he's only charged right now, as we understand it, with leaving the scene of an accident involving a death. So if he doesn't leave the scene, there's no secondary charges that we're seeing at this time. There could change. There's no secondary charges that we're seeing at this time that he would have been facing had he stayed at the scene. It's an important note with this story of what you do in the aftermath of a terrible incident matters, dramatically matters in the optics of the way it is viewed by law enforcement and potentially in our legal system in this country. So Victor Vasquez, look, we don't know why he fled. If there's a very specific particular reason as to why he fled. Again, his past, as we understand it, is a bit murky. His name, his identity is a bit murky. As Bob Gualtieri is again, they were trying to determine exactly who he is, as he put it. Really really just a terrible set of circumstances that unfolded overnight. And again, an incident where we have a suspect who was involved in a terrible, terrible, terrible incident, but then made things exponentially worse by doing the wrong thing in the aftermath of that moment. I'd like to just ask our commenters. We will end out this live stream by asking our commenters to put up thoughts and prayers and any comments of support to Deputy Hartwick's family, his children, his mother. Deputy Hartwick's colleagues at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, to the law enforcement community in Pinellas County that work with Deputy Hartwick. I'm just going to look for any comments that I can. Again, it has to have hashtag KJB for me to animate it on screen. I'm going to look for as many as I can as we look here at the memorial drive that was taking place this morning as they transported Deputy Hartwick's body from the scene. So I'll be looking for those comments starting now, including here from James Vogel, hashtag KJB, prayers and strength to his family. I'll look for some others. And I think I'm still waiting for a few of them to come in. Solicita, again, hashtag KJB, all my condolences to the family. Hold on, I'm getting a call here, folks, from the newsroom. Stand by. So our crew in the field is that was Todd Davis on the phone, one of our great photojournalists here at WFLA, letting me know that they are preparing for a memorial service that, as I understand, is going to be taking place at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. So we do have a live feed of that now. In fact, I can show that to you really briefly. They're still setting up here, so it's very, very early, but this is the shot that is being set up. And you can see the picture there in the distance next to the vehicle. That is Deputy Michael Hartwick's picture. And we'll, of course, stream this on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. Looking for some other commenters. Again, it was Solicita, hashtag KJB, my condolences to the family, prayers and hugs to all. Looking for some other comments. Just want to give folks the opportunity to pass along a heartfelt message of support. Yep, I see you, Kathy. I see your comment. Michael, I see your comment as well. All right, let's start loading as many of these up in the queue and start going through them. Let's see here. Carastonia, hashtag KJB, praying for the deputy's family. It's very, very, very kind. Stephanie Dudley, hashtag KJB, prayers for his family and friends. So sad. Let's go to this comment from Kathy Littlewood, hashtag or KJB, prayers with the prayers emoji to his mother and 2 sons. He served our community well for 19 years. Michael Jones, hashtag KJB, thoughts and prayers, hugs and love to this family, a senseless loss. And Debbie, prayers for Deputy Hartwick's family, friends, and fellow officers in blue who put their lives on the line for us day after day. Stephanie Dudley in our comment section, passing along another message, prayers to his family and friends. We'll go back over to YouTube Live for a moment. Anna Fellows, hashtag HAB, my thoughts and prayers with the deputy's family. Vape King, may he rest in peace. And Brenda Blackington, I would love to send my deepest condolences to his family. My heart aches for them. Yeah, it's extraordinarily. Here's the shot of, the standard headshot for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Michael Hartwick of the force for 19 years, leaves behind a mother and 2 children, and just a heartbreaking story for the folks there in Pinellas County. So we are going to be wrapping up our live stream, folks, on Facebook Live, likely launching a new stream in the to Pinellas County, where they honor and pay their respects to the life of Deputy Michael Hartwick, tragically killed in the line of duty this morning in a terrible forklift incident that occurred at a construction zone where he was on assignment, patrolling that area to ensure that everything was safe. And it was a construction worker who was allegedly behind the wheel of a forklift and claimed Deputy Hartwick's life. That suspect, again, has been arrested. Details on that suspect on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Additional live streaming coverage coming your way on WFLA Now as the Pinellas County law enforcement community and the Hartwick family mourn the loss of one of their own, Deputy Michael Hartwick. The very latest on this story on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We'll be back here in just a little bit on WFLA Now.
I was thinking maybe you're okay with it. Here, I'm gonna try to use as much light as I can.
Yeah, that works for me.
flooding our fields. We had the press conference, but like I said, I don't know if anything was said about it.
Oh, you can listen to that.
One second. Oh no, I just so that way you're not.
I'm gonna go listen to that song. Well, I'm
Okay, it's on the other laptop. It's a big folder. Huh? Okay.
I love the area. My family moved here a year ago. Oh, okay. So, like, oh, my brother's in Tampa. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, can you see if JB's up on my shot or anything? I need to go into menu to clear my card, and I didn't want to do it. Okay, I sent him a text. I just didn't hear anything about it. So. I'll be back up in like 2 minutes. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I'll be up in 2 minutes back. I just had less than 10 minutes on my card. If anything happens, okay, I don't want to. Hey Linda, they're wanting to know, is there a way you can change that shot that I have up right now? I need to go to my menu and clear out my card. If I do, you'll lose it. What's that? Okay, so I can go to my menu now and you're not going to lose it? Yeah, see that's fine. Okay, Gabby thought to do that. I need to get on the menu. I know it goes to black and you're going to go to the menu, so. Okay. Yeah, no. So. Okay, or what if I unpause? Would it be?
It is right now, according to TikTok.
The video cord? No, but if I. Well, because JB has it up on so if I turn off the power on the camera, it'll freeze on that shot?
But then,
Okay, let me try it here. If not, yell at me to turn it back on. Alright, and 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, this would be.
Because I like that shot.
Well, I was up here recently, and then when I saw the picture, it was like, yeah. I'm sure it's something. Yeah. Someone's calling. Yeah, it's calling. Oh, really?
I mean, even just beyond this, like, I don't know what they were talking about.
The thing is people that kind of they have a big shot. So it's like they can use crap. This video, it's like shoot it, come on. You do the shot it. It's like full.
Well, we've got that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did the guy who got the shot it. I don't know. That's a long.
Next week. When we thought about that.
Oh no. We had that yesterday.
But we're doing one all the way through which is pretty much cool. You don't have to go very far. I saw Pete here, but
Hey there. Good, how are you?
what's that? Oh, they go crazy.
Come on, obviously pushing it out.
Do you want me to step out so you can go in, or do you like? You tell me what you
Do
want
they
to
have
do.
video back there?
They have we have a bunch of different video elements. So my intro is this. It's Julie said, deputies here for everyone here at the Carrollton Sheriff's Office. There's a memorial already set up here honoring this deputy killed by one of the construction workers that he was there to help keep safe.
I'm gonna have you shoot towards the sun a little bit so people can like that. And I'm gonna fill you in a little bit.
boy, I got you. Try to be like you.
I will step out after I say everyone here at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. See, there's already a group. You want to push in, you can, or anything. Hi, Claudia.
Yeah, you're gonna come back in after.
During the VO, I'll come back in. Yeah. Which way do you want me to step out?
You'll
Step that way?
out. No, actually, that one. I'll be out there. Got that light on.
Step to here? Yes, I can. It's truly a sad day for deputies here. Okay. Yeah, it's truly a sad day for everyone here at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. You can see they've already set up a memorial for the deputy. The deputy, people have been coming by and dropping off flowers. I started a bin in RDR. I don't know where they're going to put their stuff, but driving a front loader that actually killed Deputy Hartwick. And instead of stopping to help, he ran away. He is now in custody. Now, they say this all started last night just before 11 when Deputy Hartwick showed up to provide safety for the construction crews working on I-275 right at Omerton Road. And Sheriff Altieri tells us that that front loader was carrying concrete barriers when it hit Hartwick, and he kept on driving. He parked it, and the sheriff says he told another worker what happened and then ran off on foot. Deputies searched through the night and into this morning. They finally found and arrested the driver of that front loader, which is Victor Vasquez. Yeah. So this is a pretty emotional day for most of the law enforcement across the Bay Area. A lot of them were assisting in this investigation. They were assisting with a lot of the traffic tie-ups today. And so this is something that is resonating throughout the Tampa Bay area with many people stopping by here at the memorial. And the investigation still does continue. We are going to be following all the developments for you on 10 Tampa Bay, so make sure you stay tuned with us. For Live from County County, Jenny.
Sheriff's Office's honor of Deputy Mike Hartwick by placing flyers on his cruiser. See right behind me, that group is parked at the entrance of the Sheriff's Office headquarters here in Largo. Sheriff Altieri says Deputy Mike Hartwick was at the construction site on I-275 on the track. In 3, 2, and 1. Sheriff Bob Altieri says Deputy Hartwick was at a construction site along I-275 when a worker hit him with a front end load and hit him instantly. That happened at 10:30 last night and the suspect was back on foot. Just before 9 a.m. this morning, the suspect was found in the woods near Overton at I-275. On that track line here. 3, 2, and 1. 35-year-old Victor Vasquez Fargo, Josh Rojas, stuck to the lead. Yeah, we're gonna go 2 o'clock.
Well, that's, I mean, we can pull it off the stream. So I don't, that's why I didn't know if we want to keep this picture up. If we keep the picture up, we won't be able